Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about stages of the community life cycle. Hi everyone, welcome to another Whiteboard Friday, and today we're going to be talking about stages of the community life cycle. So looking at your community and its growth and establishment, and looking at what to do and when, how to identify those different stages, and how to ensure a continued growth and success of your community. So let's get jumped right in. The first stage is inception. So this is when your community's first starting up. You first created your groups, you're bringing people into those groups, you're starting up conversations. And inception is defined by 0 to 50% of the total members actually active within that group. So anywhere in between, you've just invited those people in. The first things you want to do for that are you want to start connecting with those people, start creating valuable connections with them, start creating conversations and discussions, and start bringing them into valuable discussions as well. You're going to want to build relationships as well. Get to know those people. Ask them about what they do. Ask them to share things that they're interested in or what they're not interested in, what their priorities are or not. And ultimately, build those connections and make those people feel valued and a key part of that community and people that other people want to have conversations with. So start interacting is your key goal for that first inception stage. The next one is establishment. So in establishment, you've got between 50 to 90% of your members actually active within this group. Now it's worth noting what you regard as members within the group, and don't forget some members don't actually even register on Hive, so they might not even be in it. So make a balanced decision as what that number should be, but it's defined as between 50 to 90% of those people being active within that group. So there could be a fair amount of time between inception and establishment, and don't think these phases roll on pretty quickly. They can be fairly drawn out and quite prolonged periods. So in establishment, you're going to start writing about the community. You're going to start curating content and talking about that community, talking about what's important, bringing those people in and really start delving into what that community can add, what's important to other people, and how other people can get involved. You're going to support people with their questions, in their discussions. If they've got conflicts, you're going to help resolve them, point them to an expert, point them to the answer, point them to someone else who's got a similar problem that might be able to crowdsource, and just support people within that community. You're going to want to start analysing the activity and the content in that community to see what's best, what's working, what isn't, where's the best areas for you to spend your time. And you want to start coordinating those people in that community. So bringing them together towards a focused outcome. So they've got lots of diverse conversations going on. Take those conversations and start saying, right guys, what can we actually do with this? You've told us a lot about your specific areas of feedback and your concerns. How can we start moving those concerns forward to creating outcomes which are going to be better for you? And ultimately, you're looking at reaching this critical mass stage. So establishment is gaining what's called a critical mass, which from a community perspective is saying we've got enough people here such that the community is self-sustaining. Enough people are getting involved that you could, in theory, walk away from that community and it will continue on without you needing to community manage it. So you wanted to reach that critical mass stage. So you want to be concentrating on these macro activities, these high-level activities of what's going to add the most value in the future, and start thinking about what are the strategic goals and strategic outcomes that you might be targeting and how you can shape this activity towards those strategic outcomes. The next one is maturity. So once your community reaches critical mass, 90% plus of your activity is being done by your members, being curated by your members, and 90% plus of your members are active in that community, then you're going to want to start really taking that macro thinking and making that the work that you do. So moving away from the bitty work over here to the much more strategic stuff and making that where you spend your time. You want to start coordinating, so taking that coordination that you've done and moving people towards collaboration. So you've asked them about their feedback, you've asked them what's important to them, you said, hey guys, let's do something about that, let's put that together. Now you want to start driving the collaboration that comes out of that. Actually take those discussions, turn them into working groups, into cohorts, into actions that really drive value. You want to start iterating your community as well. You've got lots of feedback there from lots of people. Start iterating that community, start changing the design, changing the layout, changing what people see, changing the way that you do things in that community in response to that community, so you can do it in the very best way that's best for them. And you want to start looking at influence. You want to build the influence of your community out wider than the community itself. So start raising the profile of your community outside of that too. Start getting in front of leaders, getting in front of important people or other communities which have related outcomes, and really start raising the profile. So ultimately your work there is looking at high value long-term goals. So moving away from that bitty work and looking at strategically how can you best grow your community over time. And long-term here is what you think long-term is, but it could be a matter of years as well. So you want to be thinking for the future, how is this community going to be able to continue to grow? And then lastly, it's this mitosis stage. So you've created a community, it's mature, it's got lots of active members in it, everybody's actively creating that content, and it's going to be self-sustaining. So let's have a look at the mitosis stage as well. That is how you view your group in relation to other groups and how you structure the group itself. So when it comes to activity here, you're going to see dips according to exactly how you manage that mitosis stage. But what you're looking to do is expand and diversify your group. So you could consider growing your group outwards. You could widen the remit of your group. Perhaps the people in that community are actually talking wider than you initially intended, and you could perhaps change the name or change the strategy of that group to go wider. You could merge it with other groups if you wanted to. You could close down other groups. So you could approach other people with perhaps very small communities that overlap, and you could say, why don't you come over and join our group and we can close this one down, and now it's easier for them to find and search for. And you could intentionally as well widen that group out into other areas, or you could actually start creating subgroups, or you create projects within that group, or you could start looking at a hierarchy within that group. So let's say you've got lots and lots of members in that group, there's tons of discussions going on, and actually there's so much activity in there that some of the feeds are getting very busy and you want to focus those feeds a little bit more. You could consider breaking that group up into subgroups in order to specialize in certain areas and breaking that activity up a little bit as well. Breaking up into subgroups is something you really want to think about, because that can impact your overall activity levels. But get some feedback from your community, find out what they want to do, and iterate and manage your community in accordance with their feedback. So that's it. Those are the stages of the community life cycle. Really interested to hear what you guys think your specific community stage is right now. Leave a comment in the notes below, and don't forget to share this video if you've enjoyed it too, and give it a like if it's been helpful. Thanks again. See you all next week for another Whiteboard Friday.